All right, so get this. We're diving deep into Aries today.
Ooh, exciting.
The first sign of the zodiac and, their reputation for being fiery.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Total, not an exaggeration.
Not at all.
So
Sure.
we're pulling our info from a podcast called Shadow Signs,
Okay.
which really gets into like all the details of each sign.
Mm.
And they call Aries the fearless trailblazers.
I love that.
Right. And they even suggest that like we might learn a thing or two about surviving an argument with one.
Well, that's good advice.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, especially when you think about Aries being ruled by Mars,
Oh, that's right.
the planet of action and war.
War.
So that Martian energy, it really gives them a drive and intensity
Wow.
that can be both exhilarating and, let's be honest,
Yeah.
a little intimidating.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so for anyone out there who's ever met an Aries and wondered, like, what is going on in their head?
Yes.
This one's for you.
I want to know.
Let's start with some basics. Aries are born between March 21st and April 19th.
Right.
They're a fire sign,
Yes.
known for their passion and their energy.
And that fire sign energy is really what shapes their personality.
Okay.
I mean, think of them as like a espresso shot in human form,
Oh, wow.
always on the go,
That's good.
ready to take on the world.
Yeah, that actually makes so much sense.
Right.
They're known for being fearless and independent.
Yes.
And incredibly driven,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes that drive can come across as a little impatient.
Yeah, that's a great observation.
Right.
I mean, it's not that they're trying to be rude or anything.
Right.
It's just that they have this need to get things done now.
Like right now?
Like right now.
Okay.
Remember that Martian energy, it's all about action.
Mm-hmm.
So waiting around for things to happen is just not their style.
No.
Not at all.
So imagine an Aries stuck in a meeting
Oh.
where things are moving super slow.
Oh my gosh.
They're probably itching to jump in,
Yeah.
take charge, and speed things up, even if it means, ruffling a few feathers.
Exactly. And that brings us to another key Aries trait.
Okay.
Direct communication.
Uh-huh.
They don't sugarcoat things.
Well,
They don't beat around the bush.
straightforward.
If they have something to say, they're going to say it,
Yeah.
even if it comes out a little bluntly.
Okay, so no passive-aggressive mind games with an Aries.
No.
Got it.
No, no, no.
But what about that quick temper that everyone talks about?
Uh,
Is it as explosive as they say?
it can be.
Okay.
But here's the thing. It's often more like a flash fire
Okay.
than a raging inferno.
Interesting.
They might flare up really quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but they also cool down just as fast.
So like a quick boom and then it's over.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I have an Aries friend who can be very fiery.
Yeah.
But then 5 minutes later, it's like nothing happened.
Lovely.
He used to drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But, if it's just that unfiltered emotional expression, maybe it's less about me and more about just their wiring.
Exactly. And that's such an important thing to remember.
Yeah.
When you're interacting with an Aries,
Okay.
their outbursts, they're rarely personal attacks. It's just their way of processing and expressing their emotions
Yeah.
in a very immediate,
Uh-huh.
unfiltered way.
Okay. So taking a deep breath and not taking it personally is key.
Absolutely.
That's good advice for anyone.
Yes.
But especially when dealing with an Aries.
Especially.
Now, our source material specifically mentioned that their biggest weakness is impatience.
Okay.
But wouldn't that get it done now attitude also be one of their greatest strengths?
Well, absolutely.
Right.
When that impatience is channeled correctly,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a powerful force for productivity and innovation.
Okay.
I mean, they're the ones who make things happen. They push projects forward.
Right.
They're not afraid to take risks
Yeah.
and dive headfirst into new challenges.
It's almost like they have a built-in sense of urgency.
Yes.
That just propels them forward.
Yes.
They don't wait for permission or approval. They
They
just
don't.
go for it.
Precisely. And that's what makes them such dynamic leaders and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're the trailblazers,
Mhm.
the pioneers, the
Right.
ones who are not afraid to forge their own path.
Okay, so we've established that Aries are bold,
Yeah.
action-oriented,
Uh-huh.
not afraid to speak their minds.
Right.
But how does all of this translate to the realm of love and relationships? Because if their personality is any indication,
Yeah.
dating an Aries must be quite an adventure.
You could say that again.
Right.
Buckle up. Because as Shadow Signs puts it,
Okay.
dating an Aries is either pure passion or utter chaos.
With passion or chaos?
Sometimes a little bit of both.
Can't it be both at the same time?
It can be.
That's pretty intense.
It is.
What does that even look like?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Aries thrives on the thrill of the chase.
Mm-hmm.
They're incredibly direct in their communication. And that fiery temperament,
Yeah.
it definitely spills over into their love life.
Okay.
So
yeah.
expect grand romantic gestures,
Oh.
intense emotional exchanges,
Okay.
and maybe a few dramatic arguments along the way.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to take in.
It is.
Sounds like dating an Aries is not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart.
So what advice does our expert source have for those brave souls who are either dating an Aries or thinking about it?
Well, first and foremost,
Okay.
if you like playing games in a relationship and Aries is not the right partner for you,
Okay.
they crave honesty, directness, and authenticity above all else.
Gotcha.
So be upfront about your feelings,
Okay.
be clear in your communication,
Yeah.
and don't expect them to read between the lines.
So no mixed signals or subtle hints with an Aries.
Yeah.
Got it. What else?
Don't try to win an argument with an Aries.
Oh.
Remember that quick temper we talked about?
Yeah.
They're going to express themselves passionately,
Uh-huh.
and then they'll probably move on.
Oh.
You're much better off letting the storm pass
Okay.
and then addressing the issue calmly
Yeah.
once things have cooled down.
So it's like meeting their intensity with like a calm understanding.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a
fire break.
fire break. Yeah,
You can appreciate their passion without getting burned by it.
exactly. You
Yeah.
need to be someone who can handle their boldness, their directness, and their occasional bursts of fiery energy without feeling threatened or overwhelmed.
Yeah. And it sounds like certain signs are better equipped to handle that than others.
Right.
The source specifically mentioned Leo, Sagittarius, and even Gemini as being good matches for Aries.
It makes sense.
Right.
If you consider their astrological compatibility,
Uh-huh.
Leo shares that fiery energy.
Yeah.
Sagittarius is equally adventurous and independent. And Gemini, while an air sign, is known for their adaptability
Oh, okay.
and ability to kind of keep things interesting.
Yeah. So for all you listeners out there, does any of this resonate with your experiences with the Aries folks in your lives?
Yeah.
Do you have any friends, family, maybe even a certain someone
Right.
who fits this description?
Yeah, think about it.
Think about how understanding these traits might help you better navigate your interactions.
We actually received some great listener questions from the source material
Oh, perfect.
that we can kind of delve into to get a better picture.
Awesome. One listener asked, why do Aries get mad so fast?
Yeah.
Now, I think we've touched on this a bit,
Yeah.
but it's definitely worth reiterating.
Absolutely, as we discussed. It's less about actual anger
Right.
and more about that immediate,
Uh,
unfiltered emotional expression.
yeah.
They feel things intensely,
mm.
and they express them just as intensely.
And they probably move on pretty quickly,
They do.
leaving everyone else in the dust.
Precisely. Now, another listener wanted to know about Aries' biggest weakness.
Okay.
What do you think it might be?
Well, based on what we've covered so far, I would have to say impatience.
Yeah.
And maybe a touch of stubbornness.
You hit the nail on the head.
Right.
That do-it-now mentality
Yeah.
definitely leads to impatience.
Uh-huh.
And when combined with their natural leadership tendencies,
Right.
a bit of stubbornness can emerge when things don't go their way.
This all paints a pretty vivid picture.
It does.
But are Aries good friends?
Yes.
Another listener was curious about that.
The source material gives a resounding yes.
Okay, good.
They're incredibly loyal
Mm-hmm.
and supportive friends,
Awesome.
always willing to go the extra mile for those they care about.
But they also cautioned against expecting them to be chill.
Right.
Right.
You're signing up for an adventure.
Yeah,
When you befriend an Aries,
without a doubt.
they bring that same high energy and passion
Uh-huh.
to their friendships,
Makes sense.
which can be both exhilarating and at times a bit overwhelming.
Well, so now that we have a good grasp on like the core personality traits of an Aries,
Let's shift gears and see how this fiery energy translates into the professional world.
Okay.
Are they natural leaders there as well?
You bet.
Yeah.
The source material highlights entrepreneurship, athletics performance, and even emergency responder and military roles
Why?
as being great fits for Aries.
That makes perfect sense when you consider their fearlessness,
Uh-huh.
their drive,
Yeah.
and their ability to perform under pressure.
Right.
They don't shy away from challenges.
Yeah.
And they're often drawn to fields where they can make a tangible impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They thrive in fast-paced, challenging environments where they can take charge, make decisions, and see the results of their efforts.
So they want to see those results.
They do.
They're not just doing things just to do them.
Right.
They want to see something come out of it.
They want to see that impact.
Okay.
Think of them as the ultimate go-getters of the zodiac.
But I imagine a repetitive desk job would be their worst nightmare.
Oh, absolutely.
Our source even joked that an Aries would probably quit before lunch break.
Oh my God.
If they felt bored or unchallenged.
Wow.
They need to feel like they're constantly learning, growing, and pushing their limits.
So for any Aries out there, or those of you who work with them, take note. They need to feel like their work has meaning, that they're making a real difference, and that they have the freedom to take initiative and utilize their leadership skills.
Exactly.
Don't try to stifle them and put them in a box.
Trying to confine them to a rigid structure or micromanage their every move is a recipe for frustration.
Right.
For them and everyone around them.
It seems like a recurring theme with Aries is this need for action, for making things happen, for leading the way.
It is.
And that energy can manifest in both positive and fiery ways.
Yes.
But it's ultimately what makes them such a force to be reckoned with.
Well said. And that leads us to the life motto our source identified for Aries, which perfectly encapsulates their ambitious, driven nature.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Hit me with it.
Go big or go home.
I love that.
Right.
It's so fitting for their personality.
It is.
They don't believe in half measures or playing it safe. They go all in.
All in.
Every
single time.
But as inspiring as that is, even an Aries could benefit from a little bit of guidance.
Of course.
Right.
Even the most fiery personalities can benefit from a little wisdom and perspective.
Of course. So what pearls of wisdom did our source offer?
Well, the first one, and this is probably the hardest for an Aries to swallow, is to think before you act.
Oh, that's good.
It's not about stifling their boldness or preventing them from taking risks, but a little forethought can go a long way in preventing unnecessary conflict or impulsive decisions.
Right, especially when it comes to those fiery outbursts we talked about.
Exactly.
Now, the second piece of advice was to practice patience. Again, I can imagine this one being a little bit of a challenge.
A little bit.
For the do-it-now Aries.
For the do-it-now.
But learning to appreciate that sometimes things take time. And that good things come to those who wait. Can be an incredibly valuable life skill.
You said it was there a final gem of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes. And this one is for both Aries and those around them.
Okay.
Let others lead sometimes.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Because while their leadership is undoubtedly a strength,
right,
it can also become a stumbling block if they don't learn to share the reins and recognize the value of collaboration.
So it's about acknowledging that sometimes the best outcomes come from teamwork.
Yes.
And that allowing others to step up and contribute can actually lead to even greater success.
Precisely. It's about finding that balance between their natural leadership tendencies and the importance of empowering others.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Exploring the depths of the Aries personality. We've delved into their strengths, their weaknesses, how they approach love and work, and even how to survive an argument with them.
Yes.
Hopefully, all of this has given you a better understanding of what makes Aries tick.
A little glimpse inside.
And perhaps even offered some strategies for navigating those fiery encounters.
Right, some tools for your toolbox.
But before we wrap up part 1 of this steep dive, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question to ponder.
Ooh, I like it.
How might understanding Aries' strengths and weaknesses change your approach to interacting with them?
That's a great question.
It really encourages our listeners to take what they've learned and apply it to their own lives.
And their relationships.
And be sure to join us for part 2, where we'll continue our exploration of the fascinating world of Aries and dive into even more specific examples of how these traits play out in real-life situations.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Welcome back to our deep dive on all things Aries.
Oh, I'm excited to be back.
Before we move on, I think it's worth kind of revisiting that question we left you with.
Oh, yeah.
How could understanding the Aries personality change the way you interact with them?
It's such a good question to keep in mind as we continue to explore this sign.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about the Aries that I know in a whole new light.
I bet. And remember, this isn't about putting people in boxes.
Right.
Or making assumptions based on their sun sign.
Right.
It's about gaining a deeper understanding of the energies and motivations that kind of shape our personalities.
Right. It's like having a cheat sheet to help us navigate relationships and appreciate people's strengths.
Absolutely.
Speaking of strengths,
Yes.
our source shadow signs really emphasize that trailblazer energy that Aries embodies.
Yes. They're not content with following the well-worn path.
No.
They have an innate need to forge their own way,
Right.
to create, to innovate, and to lead the charge.
It's no wonder so many Aries are drawn to entrepreneurship and careers where they can be their own boss.
Totally makes sense. But isn't that desire to blaze trails also relevant outside of work?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, couldn't it apply to their personal lives and relationships too?
Oh, absolutely. Whether they're trying a new hobby, traveling to a far-off destination,
Yes.
or even just approaching a problem from like a different, unique angle.
Totally.
Aries are always looking for ways to push boundaries and expand their horizons.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to take risks, to challenge the status quo, and to shake things up a bit.
I love that about them.
You know, that adventurous spirit is actually one of the things I find most appealing about Aries.
Me too.
It's like they're constantly inviting you to step outside your comfort zone
Yes.
and embrace the unknown.
Embrace it.
Who wouldn't want a little bit of that in their lives?
Right. They remind us that life is meant to be an adventure.
Yeah.
A journey of discovery, not a series of predictable routines.
I think that's a valuable takeaway for all of us. Regardless of our sun sign,
Absolutely.
we could all benefit from a little bit of that Aries courage.
Yes.
That zest for life. That willingness to take risks.
Yes.
And dive headfirst into new experiences.
Couldn't agree more. Now, something else. Our shadow sign source mentioned that I found really insightful was the importance of direct communication with an Aries.
Oh, yeah.
You touched on this earlier, but I think it bears repeating.
Right. They hate playing games.
They do.
Both in love and in life.
Exactly. It's all about being straightforward and honest with them.
Yeah.
They don't have time for ambiguity.
Yep.
Passive aggressiveness or beating around the bush.
Just get to the point.
They value clarity and authenticity above all else.
So if you're trying to be subtle or drop hints with an Aries,
Don't even bother.
you're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time.
They're much more likely to respond to clear, direct communication,
Yes.
even if it's not always what they want to hear.
You're spot on. And remember that Martian energy we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Well, Mars is also associated with directness and assertiveness.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's not just a preference for Aries.
Right.
It's practically woven into their astrological DNA.
So it's like built into them.
Is.
So how can we as non-Aries
Yes.
adapt our communication style to be more effective with them?
If you're giving them feedback, be direct and specific.
Okay.
Don't sugarcoat things or try to hint at what you mean. And if you're expressing your feelings, say what you mean
Okay.
and mean what you say.
Got it.
They appreciate honesty and transparency,
Yeah.
even if it's not always comfortable.
It's almost like they have a built-in BS detector.
You do.
They can sense when someone isn't being genuine, and
Yeah.
they will call you out on it.
Precisely, they value authenticity above all else.
Yeah.
Being genuine and upfront with them will earn you their respect even if you disagree.
Which brings us back to that whole surviving an argument with an Aries thing. Let's face it, with all that fiery energy.
Yeah.
And direct communication disagreements are bound to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But remember, those outbursts are often as fleeting as a summer thunderstorm.
Okay.
The key is to not take their words personally
Right.
and to avoid escalating the situation by matching their intensity.
I can see how that would be tricky,
Yeah.
especially in the heat of the moment.
It is.
Any tips for staying calm?
It takes practice,
Okay.
but understanding their communication style is a good first step.
Mm-hmm.
Try to recognize that their fiery words are often more about expressing their immediate feelings than attacking you as a person.
Right.
If you can detach a little bit and not get swept up in the emotional whirlwind,
Right.
it becomes easier to let the storm pass.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It's like acknowledging the storm.
Yes.
Not getting drenched in the downpour.
Exactly. And remember, once the storm passes, they're usually pretty quick to move on.
Yeah, they don't like to dwell.
Holding grudges simply isn't their style.
No.
They'd rather address the issue head on, clear the air, and move forward.
You know, that's actually a quality I admire about Aries.
I do too.
Their ability to forgive
Yes.
and let go of resentment is something a lot of us could learn from.
I agree. It's about recognizing that conflict is a natural part of life.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't have to define the relationship. It's about choosing understanding over resentment.
Right.
And focusing on the bigger picture.
So if you ever find yourself in a disagreement with an Aries, Remember to stay calm,
Yes.
communicate clearly,
Right.
and don't hold on to resentment. Chances are they've already moved on
They probably have.
and are ready to tackle the next challenge together.
That's a great way to put it, and that, in a nutshell,
Yeah.
is the beauty of the Aries spirit.
Mm-hmm.
They're passionate,
Yeah.
driven,
Mm-hmm.
and always ready for a new adventure.
Right.
They challenge us to step outside our comfort zones, to
Yeah.
embrace our own inner fire,
Mm-hmm.
and to live life to the fullest.
You know what? I'm feeling pretty inspired right now.
Me too. It's like a little bit of that Aries energy is rubbed off on us.
I think so.
I think so too.
Maybe that's the real takeaway from this deep dive.
Wait.
It's not just about understanding Aries.
Right.
It's about recognizing those Aries-like qualities
Uh-huh.
within each of us.
Within each of us.
That spark of courage,
Yeah.
that zest for life,
Mm-hmm.
that willingness to take risks and pursue our passions.
Yes.
We all have it within us,
We do.
just waiting to be ignited.
That's a beautiful thought
Yeah.
and a perfect place to pause for a moment.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll continue our exploration of the Aries personality,
Okay.
diving into some specific examples
Mm-hmm.
of how these traits manifest in real-life situations.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
I'm so glad to be back.
As we wrap up our exploration of the Aries personality, I'm really struck by how much we've uncovered
Yeah, me too.
about this dynamic sign. It's been eye-opening for sure.
It really has. We've
Yeah.
covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
from their fiery nature and their leadership qualities to their love of adventure and that direct communication.
You know, with all this talk about boldness and intensity,
Yeah.
it's easy to kind of overlook a key aspect
Mm-hmm.
of the Aries personality,
What's that?
their vulnerability.
Oh, that's a good point.
I think sometimes that gets lost
Yeah.
beneath that fiery exterior.
I think you're right. We tend to focus on that outward confidence. But underneath
Right.
lies a genuine need for validation and appreciation.
No.
They might not always show it, but they crave that recognition for their efforts.
Mhm.
And they want to know that they're making a positive impact.
Exactly. It's not just about being the first or the best. It's
Right.
about contributing something meaningful
Mhm.
to the world. And that's where understanding your motivations
Yeah.
becomes so crucial.
Yeah,
If we can tap into that desire
right.
to make a difference, we can really unlock their incredible potential, both personally and professionally.
Absolutely. It's not about trying to dampen their fire or anything.
Right.
It's about creating environments
Yeah.
where they can really shine.
Okay.
Think about it. Aries thrives in spaces
Uh-huh.
where their boldness is celebrated and their leadership is valued.
Okay. That makes sense. But let's forget practical here for a second.
Okay.
We've been talking about Aries in a general sense,
Yeah.
but how do all these traits actually play out in real-life situations?
I'm glad you asked. Let's break it down with a few examples.
Okay.
First, imagine an Aries in a team setting at work.
Well, given their natural leadership tendencies, I'd bet they'd be the ones taking charge and
Yeah.
spearheading projects.
You're probably right. They gravitate towards roles
Yeah.
where they can take initiative, make decisions, and see tangible results.
Mm-hmm.
But as we discussed earlier, it's vital for them to learn how to share that leadership role
Right.
and recognize the value of other team members' contributions.
So it's about striking that balance between their innate desire to lead
Yes.
and the importance of collaboration and teamwork.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense. Now, let's switch gears and imagine an Aries in a romantic relationship.
Ooh, get ready for some fireworks.
Okay.
Remember, passion is a dominant force in the Aries love language.
Right.
Expect grand gestures, intense emotional connections, and a relationship that's anything but boring.
Wow. Okay, but as we discussed earlier, that same passion can also lead to some conflict
It's true.
if it's not managed carefully.
Very true. That's where clear communication
Right.
becomes paramount.
Yeah.
Honesty and directness are non-negotiables
Right.
for an Aries partner. They want to know exactly where they stand,
Yeah.
and they appreciate it when their partner can express their feelings openly and authentically.
So no mind games
Yeah.
or passive aggression.
Right.
Just straightforward, hard on your sleeve communication.
That's it.
Got it. Okay, last scenario. How would an Aries typically approach a challenge or an obstacle?
Head on, of course.
Right.
They're not ones to back down from a challenge, in fact.
Yeah.
They often see obstacles as opportunities to prove themselves
Right.
and demonstrate their resilience.
It's like they have an I'll-show-you attitude
Totally.
that fuels their determination.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that in action.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
like watching someone run a marathon at full speed.
You can be. Their relentless pursuit of goals is admirable,
Yeah.
but it's also important to remind them to pace themselves and to take breaks when needed.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Aries,
Yes.
what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, first and foremost, remember that Aries are fueled by passion,
Mm-hmm.
energy, and a deep-seated desire
Yeah.
to make their mark on the world.
Mm.
Their boldness and leadership qualities can be both inspiring and challenging,
Right.
but understanding their motivations is key to navigating those interactions successfully.
And never underestimate the importance of clear, direct communication with an Aries.
Never.
Be honest. Uh-huh.
Be authentic, and don't be afraid to meet their intensity
Yeah.
with a calm understanding.
Exactly. Whether you're an Aries yourself,
Yeah.
in a relationship with one, or simply working alongside one. These insights can help you foster stronger connections and appreciate the unique gifts
Right.
they bring to the table.
I love that. So as we kind of leave the fiery realm of Aries,
Yeah.
let's keep in mind that while astrology can offer us valuable insights,
Yes.
it's ultimately up to each of us
Mm-hmm.
to write our own stories.
Beautifully put, the stars might guide us.
Yeah.
But our choices and actions are what shape our lives.
And who knows, maybe channeling a little bit of that Aries fire can inspire us all to embrace our passions
Yes.
and create our own adventures.
I love it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.